Hi everyone, it's Wendy. I wanted to respond to the discussion question for Edlp 704 regarding the student who is having a behavioral incident in the hallways. And I didn't want to go into this with the assumption that the student already has a behavior intervention plan, but rather just based off of the information that there had recently been a meeting to talk about functional behavioral assessment. So given that information, the first thing I would do with the student is try to see if the student could be moved from the current location that he or she was in to a different setting to help preserve some dignity for that child and to reduce the distraction for the other students that are in the nearby classrooms. If I knew the child, I would try to use the rapport that I would have developed with that student. If not, I may rely on some other staff members to help talk that child down or get that child to move to another situation. I know that sometimes when children are escalated, the more staff that are involved or the more talking that is done actually does the reverse and escalates the child. So with as little intervention or as little talking to as possible, I would try to remove the child from the current location and get them to a different location. There are instances, I think, depending on the nature and severity of the child's disability, where the child may need some assistance or guidance, gentle movement to move from one place to another. The next thing I would do would be the same thing as many of you have said already. Look at what were the antecedents for the behavior, what caused the child to have that meltdown or those behaviors in the hallway, and then I would want to talk with the team. There are two critical portions to this. One is from our book for the classroom and with Yale, and that's that we include parents as part of the team members. I know if we're in the functional behavioral assessment stage, then our next natural phase is to go into the behavior intervention planning stage. And I would want to have the parents as a part of that meeting to get their buy-in. Depending on the age of the student and the disability of the student, you may also very well want to have the student involved in the behavior intervention plan portion because ultimately it's the child's behavior that you either need to change or extinguish that behavior or replace it with a more acceptable behavior. So I would call together my FBA team, the team that met together to gather all of the analysis once everything was completed. And if it was far off, depending on how often this type of behavior is occurring, we may need to expedite that process a little bit. But I would call together that team to start the BIP process and include the parents as a part of the team members. We know that parent participation is a priority through the IDEA process. And parents also, in this case, could help us understand, are they seeing the same types of behaviors in their home? What are they doing to extinguish the behaviors? What are they seeing that may trigger the behaviors? And what types of replacement behaviors or replacement activities have they found have been either helpful or not so helpful? So they would play a critical role. As the team pulls together, I think it's important to look to our guidance documents from DOE, and I'm specifically going to make reference to the guidelines for FBA and BIP from the Department of Ed from March 2015, guidelines for conducting functional behavioral assessments and developing positive behavioral intervention and support strategies. And pointing out that one of our key goals is to eliminate the problem behavior and one or more strategies to promote replacement behavior. And then the team also really needs to look at any supplementary aids or supports or services. So I don't know, in the case of this child, is the hallway too crowded? Is it too noisy? Are there kids there that are distracting or that this student may have a negative history with? You know, could it be something as small as altering the time of day or when that child travels in the hallway? But those are all conversations that the people that are there to develop the BIP need to go through and address. So I think for me it would be ensuring that you have all the right players at the table, the teachers that know the student, the case manager, the parents are a critical piece and their input is vital. And then talking through the assessment data that was collected. I think in the heat of the moment you want to preserve the dignity of the child as much as possible, but also help prevent as much distraction that is going on for the other students that are in the classroom setting. There's also a portion of IDEA that has the IEP team consider 5 different 5 special considerations. And one of the first one is the impact of the student's behavior on themselves or on other students in the classroom or in the educational setting. So in this case, the student is obviously impacting some other students with the behavior in the hallway. So we definitely need to address that through the behavior intervention plan, either through replacement behaviors or different strategies and supports. I will include the resources in my discussion section on the board. Thanks. Have a good day.